So time has arrived, and ladies and gentlemen, at this time I'm going to call our meeting to order. Before we begin our regular meeting this evening, we have a guest present from the Nashua Regional Planning Commission who wants to make a special announcement. This is on television, so no, I just wanted you to know.
Angela Vincent with the Nashua Regional Planning Commission. For those of you who don't know, I'm back with the Regional Planning Commission. I'm a regional planner with the Regional Planning Commission, working on our transportation, land use, environmental projects. So we'll be around again in another context. But tonight, I am here with my New Hampshire Planners Association hat on. Earlier this summer, we received a nomination for one of your board members for Citizen Planner of the Year, which is one of the 4 awards that we give out every year. So I was here last time on behalf of the Northern New England chapter of American Planning Association. This is just our state planning association in New Hampshire that I'm representing tonight. So, but we do state awards, and we also do the chapter awards for Northern New England. This is for the state award. And this is on behalf of our committee, who's actually Carrie Deers is one of our, if you don't know her, she's our assistant director for the Regional Planning Commission, is also a board member, and wishes that she could be here tonight, so she would be by my side so we can just pretend. But we're both here on behalf of the executive committee to honor this person tonight. Over 32 years of service to the planning board, Mr. Gagnon, Mr. Pete Gagnon, has offered to the city or to the town of Merrimack. I'm going to read some of Nelson Disco's nomination forms, so just to let you know who nominated you. It was obviously instrumental in over the past 32 years with a bunch of different things. Merrimack's first soils-based zoning ordinance in the 70s, adoption of your floodplain ordinance, as well as your wetlands conservation ordinance, your aquifer protection ordinance, as well and your shoreline protection ordinance. You've made significant contributions to all 3 of the master plans back to the 1980s, according to Nelson. I haven't been here that long, but I believe that's true. Developed a community-wide survey that asked for community input about what's important to the citizens in Merrimack, and as a result, have used that and to make some decisions on behalf of the citizens. We also received a letter of achievement and a letter of standing from Jamin Cara and from Walter. Those are included in the nomination package, and I'll just quote Jay saying, though reserved and soft-spoken, there have been few issues of any consequence in Merrimack over the past 3 decades that have not been impacted in some way by Pete Gagnon. During even the most righteous of town meetings, a respectful quiet swept through the room whenever Pete approached the podium. So I thought that was kind of a nice saying for you. And the last thing I wanted to mention before I hand this over to you was something that was also in Nelson's nomination, that in summary, Mr. Gagnon has demonstrated over 3 decades of dedication to sound planning and implementation of planning principles in the community of Merrimack. And the New Hampshire Planners Association is very proud to have people like yourself on our planning boards, because as a professional planner, you really make our jobs a lot easier in supporting what we believe is sound planning. So we'd like to offer you this award of Citizen Planner of the Year.
Yeah. Didn't know I was going to take a picture today. I guess we're doing a picture.
I just want to say one more thing too. It's great to have 2 Citizen Planners of the Year in a row from the Nashua region, and I'm hoping that speaks some strong things about the progress that we've made over the past 30 years with strong board members and planners trying to create a livable community, or a livable region, but also livable communities. So thank you for all of your passion and your commitment to planning and trying to make our communities successful and places where people want to live.
Thank you, Angie. Thank you. Okay, well,
I'd just like to accept this on behalf of many, many other planners that have worked with me over the years in the planning board. They also Former David Sewell was the director of the National Regional Planning Commission at that time and was very instrumental in giving us guidance in some really difficult times we had in the growth of the town. He is now a PhD, Senior Research Associates for the Center for Urban and Regional Policy in Northeastern University, Boston, Mass. A position that he richly deserves. There are countless attorneys that have been instrumental to get us, and I say us because not only me, in getting us through some extremely difficult planning times, but and a lot of officials, employees of the town, and probably more specifically, the late Al Hinckley, who sentenced me to this job back in the 70s. But I do want to thank Jay McCara, Walter Warren, Nelson Disco, all of these people who have been a guidance to me. We all learn from each other. And I just don't want to, there's one that I don't want to overlook, and that is in my earlier encounters. Colonel Hap Watson, who was our chairman at the time, though we didn't see eye to eye, we had at least the courtesy of respecting each other and trying to accomplish things and reach a position of compromise on behalf of the town. And it's been the last 30 plus years has really been a wild ride, needless to say. But what makes me proud of the whole thing is the people that we've worked with. And more recently, I was attending a planning hearing in another case with FEMA, and comments were mentioned when we announced what towns were involved, and some of the area planners, some even from Concord, would come up and say, Merrimack's a town that has its act together. That's made me especially proud because of what everybody had accomplished together. And last but not least, also my family who had to suffer many hours and many days, and sometimes very trying experiences as we progress through the growth stages of the community. But nevertheless, everybody has contributed in some way. There isn't a person that I haven't learned from, including members of this board. But I would just offer one important thing that I tried to direct myself into this train of thought, and whenever I have to do any difficult or involved planning, and that it's a quote by Sir Winston Churchill, and it's very appropriate to all planning, in my opinion. And he states that the further back you can look, the farther forward you're likely to see. And boy, I'll tell you, I can attest to that. And I think every other member here who's been with this for some time knows exactly what I'm talking about, including my brother, Dr. John. Thank you very much, and this is on behalf of everyone here and the panelists. Thank you.
Thank you, Pete. That's well-deserved. Thank you, Angie, for coming out and for pursuing this and making it happen. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Okay, we'll take up then item 2 on the agenda tonight, which is approval of minutes. And the board has 2 sets of minutes for their review. One for, what? Somehow I had 2. What?
September 5th, September 19th, October 3rd, and October 24th.
Well, I apologize. My set only included two. What were the others?
September, they were handed out.
Way back when.
They handed out at the meeting and not, it didn't come in the package. Okay, right. So I looked at the two that were in the package, and that's why I didn't do it. We'll proceed. What were the dates, please? John, help me out.
September 5th is the
September
first.
5th, we'll do those first then. What's the pleasure of the board with respect to the minutes of September the 5th? Mr. Segedy, Dr. Segedy.
Approve with the following clarification. On page 5, paragraph 3, beginning with Mr. Castagna. At the end of the paragraph, where it goes, convince town meeting, modify that to convince the town meeting to approve it, just to clarify it, and that's all I have on that one.
Can we have a second to Dr. Segedy's motion, please? Second, someone. Seconded by Mr. Gagnon. Discussion now of the motion to approve the minutes without change.
I don't have those minutes with me and don't recall having looked through them, so I don't feel like I can vote to approve them.
Okay, I'm in the same boat. They
I feel a lot of
came
us may be in
separate
that
packages.
position,
So
so
I'll have to abstain on that one, on those two. So can we postpone the September 3rd and September
September 5th and 19th.
5th and 19th to,
Well, okay, then this was the 5th, so you want to postpone, vote on that?
because the only set that I recall seeing is October 3rd and October 24th.
That's what I have.
Okay.
Yeah, I get the
So-
5th and 19th, but they weren't together.
Okay, in that case, I'll
Withdraw your motion.
withdraw my motion for the
Make a
5th.
motion to
Table.
postpone the discussion of these till, well, we can take them up at the next meeting without a motion. What's the pleasure of the board with respect to October the 3rd minutes then? Dr. Segedy.
Move to approve as submitted.
second.
The second. Discussion of this motion.
I have just a question on page 3, where it says October 3rd, DPW Director Ed Chase, about the request for the road waiver. Should we have a word spoke or page 3?
Those are just dates on which all these different pieces of correspondence were received,
Okay.
or dated, rather.
Yeah, I guess that's the,
It was a letter from him
yeah,
about
it
the
was a letter
request
from
for a
him.
road
Yeah,
waiver.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I have two minor things. On that same page, right up near the top, where September 12th, 2006, that's the Merrimack Village District. I would think that should say, stating that the Merrimack Village District can provide water to the site. Not that they were satisfied, but that they can provide water, which is the issue. And this other one is taken care of. That's all I have. Got that? Okay. Any other discussion? Mr. Shepherd?
On page 4,
Yes.
sentence before the paragraph that starts with Tom Burns, where it says, protect the catch basins from children and animals. I think that should be reversed. That should protect children and animals from the catch basins.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. I'm trying to find the sentence. Let me
It's the
see.
end of that paragraph
The
that
end of
starts
the-
Edward Orr.
Oh, yes.
Third
Okay, yeah. And that would protect children and animals from getting into the catch basins,
Right.
basically, yeah.
Worried about the safety of children and animals as opposed to the catch basin.
Yeah. Okay, you got that change? Is it change? Just change, reverse that. Any other discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor of the motion then to approve the minutes with those changes? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? None. All were in favor. Mr. Shepherd is sitting in. I
Right.
don't know if you got that. Yes. The next, we have the minutes of October the 24th. What's the pleasure of the board here? Mr. Bonaslawski?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of October 24th as written. I don't have any changes.
Okay, do we have a second to that motion? Seconded by Dr. Segedy. I have just one thing. On page 7 of 7, in the second paragraph, the second to last sentence in the second paragraph beginning Carl Higginson, And the second to last sentence says, Chairman Disco replied in the affirmative, noting that the street is near capacity. I don't remember saying that,
I had it marked as well.
because I don't think that's so, and I'm surprised I would have said it. I think what I might have said was that the street capacity is not presently exceeded. I think that's more like what I would have said, because I don't know how near to capacity it is. And
I thought you said it was not near capacity. But
that's, yeah, okay. The street is not near capacity. Yes.
the person had asked if there
Yeah.
was a capacity limit, and you said yes, but there is not. We're not near that.
We're not near, that's what, yes.
That's the way I recall
Okay.
it.
That would be more in line with what I think I should have said. So if we can make that correction, it is not, inserting not. Dr. Siggety?
On page 1, while this could be inserted in other places as well, I think the first time that the 2.4% slope comes
Yes,
up.
the
This
plus
is
and
in
minus.
item 4,
Yeah,
after the heading, the first paragraph, the third line, at the end of the line, it says a 2.4% slope.
yeah.
I think we should insert the word positive
Plus,
2.4%.
If you can make a plus sign, that works too, yeah. Anyway, just to show that it's
Yeah,
plus
and-
2.4 and a negative 2
Right.
is the difference being 4 and not 0.4. Yeah.
And
I think there are several places where that appears, but I'm
yeah,
glad you
but
remembered that.
if we,
Yeah.
if we do it on the first one, I think
think
people
it'll
will
be-
understand
Yeah,
the rest.
yeah.
On page 6, the last sentence, after the word calmed, I think the words by current conditions should be inserted.
By current conditions.
Yeah, what was trying to be pointed out there was that,
The trees were.
that
calming
just
effect,
making
yeah. Yeah.
things unsafe doesn't calm the traffic.
Says John.
At the beginning of that section where it just starts to talk about the narrative, the first sentence says proposed is a 2-story office building, and above it, it says it's a 4-story office building in the description of the,
Oh,
so I think it's really a 4-story office building.
was a 4, yeah.
Page 6.
Okay, yeah, it was a 4-story.
Yeah.
The very top of that first paragraph
Yes.
on page 6. Item 7.
You see this? It's 2, it's a 4 there, yeah. Okay, anything else? You ready for the question? All those in favor of the motion to approve the minutes of those changes? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? Abstain. Mr. Shepherd abstains. Others voting in favor. The minutes of October the 24th are approved. The other 2 we'll work on next time. Okay, you have a letter for me from Maynard and Paquette, right? The next item on the agenda, I'm sorry, is the Planning and Zoning Administrator's Weekly Report. He may have given you something?
Well, I have nothing.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Chairman,
What could the staff have a look at the situation regarding Emerald Isle auto sales on the corner of Babusick Lake Road and Daniel Webster Highway? Under Regulation 17.7, the zoning ordinance, he's got 4 temporary signs outside there, 3 of them relating to the auto business and 1 relating to the landscape business at the back. They are usually within about 4 to 5 feet of the white edge of the road line. He has customer cars occasionally park on that road. He certainly has deliveries made on that road with a sort of large pickup truck towing a single deck trailer when there are 3 lanes of southbound traffic waiting at those lights, it's pretty difficult for traffic coming out of Babusick Lake Road to get round there. Those signs don't help, but frankly, the whole of that site's a bit of a nightmare. I'm sure it's probably grandfathered and there's not a lot we can do, but at least he should be told he can't park, and those temporary signs, which are there the whole time, certainly are an infringement of 17.07.
Okay, good point. Okay, anything else? Okay, Walter is not with us this evening because we have a fairly light agenda. Then at other late meetings last week and the weeks ahead. The next item on the agenda is item number 4, which is the Dennis High Plan. And as of, well, this is dated November the 9th, but I think it must have been, we were not aware of this. Came in today. Oh, no, it came in the 9th. Okay. Okay, on behalf of our client, this is from Tom Burns, PE for Maynard and Paquette. On behalf of our client, Dennis High, we are asking that our scheduled planning board hearing of November 14th, continued from the October 26th meeting, be deferred to the next available planning board agenda. Please establish a date certain for this next meeting. We are proceeding with the plan revisions and a roadway redesign based on a meeting conducted with Ed Chase and Walter Warren on October 31st, 2006, and require additional time to complete and submit. Thank you for the board's understanding. So if anybody's here for the Dennis High Plan, it will not be heard tonight. If the board would be so inclined, they could make a motion to postpone to the 28th of November. Is that our next date certain that's got an availability?
I thought we had scheduled that day for Chelsea Industries. Our consultant, I should say.
Okay, we have not heard back from our consultant, and we're looking now at getting the material from our consultant on the 28th, and then having the meeting with him the following week on the 5th of December. That's what it looks like. Looks like we've slipped a week on that. And that is yet to be confirmed, actually, with the consultant. But, yeah, thank you. Yes.
I guess one other question would be, is that in past meetings, we've said about having documents 2 weeks beforehand.
Yes.
For public review. And if we went to the 28th, that would only be, they would have to be in today, which I don't think is the case. Is that true?
That is true.
Plans.
I don't think they're in.
So maybe we should at least look at the first meeting in December to give a week extra.
Okay, the plans that we're getting are revised plans, and they reflect the results of the meetings the meeting of grand compromise that was reached between Ed Chase and Walter and the client. And they did they give us a promise date on when they would be here, those plans? Yeah. Okay.
It only affects the plan and profile of the road. It doesn't affect lots, does it?
No, they're only changing the plan profile of the road. Well, of course, the associated drainage structures all go with it, so elevations change, and it chases all the way through the subdivision. They reached a compromise. I can tell you just verbally what Walter told me about the compromise. Basically, they don't have a 50-foot platform. They have like a 25-foot platform of weighting, but they have the negative 2%, I believe. He didn't say that, but I'm thinking, and so there's less of an impact. It's not the horrific impact that we saw from the full 50 feet, but and everybody seemed happy with that. But they had a lot of work to do to get it all together.
On paper,
yeah. So that's all I can tell you about the status, and I don't know when they promised to have the plan in. I have but this letter. If the board's uncomfortable, we can put it till the 28th.
Yeah, well, we're supposed to, have everything in before, at least 15 days before.
Well, yes. And in a sense, we do, in that the plan is there with, these are
Okay.
minor and agreed to changes, if you will, to the plan.
Okay, the public can now go and review the plan? It's available?
It is not available. All that's available is the old plan.
Okay.
Which is, actually, there's 4 versions down there that the public can look at. Okay?
But those are,
Yes,
possible.
and one of those 4
consideration.
is going to be it, but it's got to be reflected into all the drainage structures and everything. They can't see all the drainage design, the piping and.
No, it's just the You know, what they told us at the municipal law lecture is that you have to have the plan that's going to be reviewed, and it has to be available to the public and identified, obviously, for 15 days before.
I sort of agree with John, but this isn't a brand-new plan.
Yeah.
It is a revised plan, and my hang-up was, our consultant, which is Public Works Director Ed Chase, wasn't agreeing with the plan.
Right.
Now a compromise is worked out, so I don't believe we're starting from the beginning. Most of the abutters know the situation, and just the minor details would be there. So I feel comfortable with, as long as Ed Chase has put an approval on it or made some kind of a thing, I don't think we'd have to start from the very beginning on this plan.
Yeah.
Although I don't think they said anything at the municipal law lectures about this requirement applying only at the beginning of the process.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, to be very strictly accurate, none of the 4 options presented to us by Maynard and Paquette is actually what is the answer you just read. I mean, he gave all sorts of versions, but actually a 2% for a -2% for 25 foot wasn't one of the 4 versions we had before us. So it's effectively a 5th version. But I'm only being very pedantic with facts.
Mr. Jones?
Because we're not sure we know.
I think we have to realize what happens in getting a plan and reviewing a plan. I mean, the lot line hasn't changed, the locations haven't changed, the amount of impact on this property has not changed. What you're looking at is a detail of a specific area where the drainage is concerned that greatly affects the road, and the road agent at Chase has come up with a compromise, and all we're waiting for is to find details. So I don't think you should stress the details at this point. And assuming that everything is going to be available for the public, 98% of the public, even if they look at one of the plans, is not going to decide which plan is different from the other, from what the details are.
Right.
So it's essentially it is the plan. It's a compromise on one of those aspects that they brought in with the 25 feet. What they did is they were able to gain a better approach slope to be in compliance with the regulations.
Right. That's right. I'd agree with you. Yeah. Mr. Commissar?
Continue on that discussion. However, it does affect the side slope of the adjoining lots, which can also affect the runoff to adjacent properties. We already know that to the left-hand side of the entrance, that we're not happy with the outflow, riprap, of the detention pond number 1, I think it is, and that there was concerns about it running to a downhill property. So by changing to a -2 slope, they've already said they're going to be changing the side slopes, and they either have to ask for a waiver to get away from the 3-to-1, or they're going to change and go back further up. So that could
But they're on their own property with that. It's all on their own
right, but
property.
the runoff could affect adjacent properties.
It isn't sloped that way. It's sloped away from the adjacent properties in this area where we're changing it. It would seem to me. Well, it's up to the board what you'd like to do. Personally, I would have no problem postponing it to the 28th and see, yeah.
I was just in response to them having their plans in the 15 days that they're prior to the meeting, I would point out that the town hasn't been exactly hasty with the with them as far as delivering things. There's been several instances where they received things very much at the deadline.
That's right. That's right. Fair enough. You're right.
I move that we postpone the Dennis Hyde
Plan, yeah.
plan
Yeah,
review to the 28th of November.
Okay. Seconded by Mr. Shepherd, yeah. Do we have discussion? I'll call the question then. All those in favor of the motion, to postpone to the 28th? Any opposed? Any abstaining? Okay, there were 2 opposed. Mr. Segedy and Mr. Komisarek were opposed, others voted in favor, and it's postponed to the 28th of November. The next item on tonight's agenda is the CK Realty Abel Crane. I think we have a letter from them. This is from Mr. Keach. Addressed to Walter Warren, pursuant to our discussion earlier this afternoon, please be advised that our client is agreeable to continuing the public hearing scheduled in response to their subject application previously scheduled for this evening until November 28th, 2006. As always, please let me know if you have additional thoughts or questions relating to this matter. This is a case where the plans did arrive. They are here in hand, but they arrived this afternoon, and Walter told them there was no time for anybody to look at them and would prefer a postponement, to which they have agreed, and this is their submittal and request and agreeing to that. It's a very minor change, actually, to their building. It's a 30 by 50 foot addition on an impervious surface, so it's not much of an impact. It would be a waiver of a full site plan review, but they're willing to postpone, and if it's the pleasure of the board, I would entertain a motion to postpone this to the 28th of November. Mr. Bonaslawski.
I'll make a motion to postpone the C&K Realty / Abel Crane plan till November 28th.
Do we have a second to this motion? Second by Mr. Shepherd. Do we have discussion?
What plan was received today? We received something in our packet. This isn't the plan that they're working on, or they made changes before?
This wasn't the, this was kind of a sketch for the packet, but it wasn't the plan itself. And the plan itself, when it came in, has some additional, there was a 30 by 50 building there. It didn't show the edge of pavement. I've forgotten, there were some things that were. There's a proposed, yeah, that's just an open shed over an impervious surface, so. The plan set that came in this afternoon was different than this, right?
Okay.
Not substantially.
The engineer, Steve Keach, made, they were out on the site, and
Yep.
made some updates, including the pavement. So that's been added. There were some other minor changes, some things that we never had a chance to really look at.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Good question, though, yeah. Someone else, Matt, or someone else? Okay, discussion, further discussion of this motion.
Just one other question. Do we have other stuff building up on the 28th? Are we adding a lot of things in front?
I think we can handle these two things in addition. We had a couple of very minor things already on the 28th. I forgot what they were.
McDonald's won the waiver.
McDonald's is, yeah, there was a waiver request for the parking at McDonald's. That's still on the table. The McDonald's at Continental Boulevard. And then the other one was the withdrawal of a plan.
Yeah, we're talking about.
Yeah, the Mazzaglia plan, maybe it's time to put it to rest.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? Discussion, further discussion of the motion. If there's none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion? Any opposed or abstaining? None. All were in favor, I believe. Did you vote, Mr. Koenig?
Yes, I did.
Oh, you did vote in favor, okay, I just didn't see. Okay, thank you. The next item on tonight's agenda is item number 5, Chesapeake Development, Twin Bridge Place. Review for acceptance of a subdivision application and a possible final approval for condominium conveyance of premises depicted on a previously approved site plan in the R residential district. That's not right. It's in the commercial district. This is not R residential.
It is in the residential district.
What?
It is in the residential district.
It is?
That Twin Bridge was rezoned.
What? Okay. We'll talk about that later. Located at 501 DW Highway. Property lies within the Aquifer Conservation District, the Town Center Overlay District, and the Elderly Overlay District. Tax map parcel 5D, 31113. This you'll all recognize as the chocolate factory.
Amongst other things, sir. It's very
Oh, and pizza, chocolate and
very nice
pizza.
pizza.
Right.
There's a dance studio.
Yes, okay. Yeah, okay. Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Bob Carpenter. I'm with Granite State Surveying. Here this evening on behalf of Chesapeake Development. Present this plan to you. My name is Chris from Chesapeake. This property, I think you're all familiar with it now. Everybody knows the property. So
Chocolate and pizza.
we all need to drive by.
Right.
This site resulted from a site plan that was presented to you and approved by you in September of 2002 for the building as you see it today. Looking at the two plans, it was constructed extremely close to the original plan. I don't notice any major deviations in there. The proposal before you this evening is for conversion of the building to a 6-unit condominium. And we would have 3 units on the upper floor, the floor at the street level of DW Highway, and 3 units in the basement. Pretty much the configuration there is as it was in the original site plan. The basement at that time was intended to be commercial warehouse space, and that's what the intention is here. The only thing that we're really changing is the formal ownership capacity here. This would be known as Twin Ridge Place at Merrimack Commons. And the units range in size from about 2,100 to about 2,500 square feet. Everything else on the site stays the same, with no changes to the site. That's about as brief as I can make it.
Okay. Have you submitted the documents yet? The main thing will be our legal review of those documents. Those.
I believe our legal review already.
Oh, we already have a review. Oh. Okay. Okay, I have a letter November 1st addressed to Steve Lauren from Steve Buckley, Town Council. I've received and reviewed the documents transmitted to me with your transmittal letter dated October 25th, 2006, enclosing the declaration of Twin Bridge Place at Merrimack Common Condominiums, the association bylaws, listing of units, and description of land and plan sheet. I've reviewed these documents in light of the Town of Merrimack zoning ordinance and subdivision regulations, and can advise the planning board that these documents are in proper form and approved by Town Council. Steve Buckley. So the documents are in order. Now they get, from here you go to the Attorney General, right, for the final, yes, once you get this, you need the site plan approval, I think, to do that. Okay. Questions from the board? Mr. Ducegny.
Has staff reviewed this plan against the previous plan and is satisfied that it is the same in all other ways except for the condominium conversion?
I have not personally. I don't know. I've not heard from Walter if he's reviewed it. I do have a copy of the signed plan here, but I don't know if Walter has gone through it.
Okay.
Well, you reviewed it against the original plan. Okay.
And I was impressed at how close it was.
Okay. Can you tell us where there's any differences, if there are any?
I'll do that.
This wall moved over about 5 feet. Originally, that came straight down. But probably down when they came as a tenant, wanted a little extra square footage, so in Sal's.
It's an internal wall, yeah.
And that, so it moved this way. Downstairs, is there downstairs? Yeah. I was occupying this. We actually giving this portion to Swan Shop for packaging.
Yeah.
And what's probably going to happen is they're going to kind of come this way. Or Teresa might consider just actually taking the space below, because there was originally at one time an elevator. We were in for a paint store a few times.
I remember it was a paint store, yeah.
But didn't do that and gave him, he was doing the Swan Chocolate thing. I kept an office in the back. But she may consider doing their packaging here, and then instead of having to walk down the stairs, outside, around back, what they're doing now, they can use the elevator to bring the packaging upstairs.
Yeah. So the changes you're talking about are internal to the building, really?
Yeah.
There's nothing external to the site plan that was changed? Okay.
That's what I was going to ask. The footprint is staying the
The
same.
footprint's the same and the building configuration's the same. That's what's important, yeah. But thanks for for the details, yeah. Other questions or comments from the board? Mr. Shepherd?
Originally planned as a 6-unit building?
Originally, it was a tenant, and it was 5. The downstairs, like I said, was originally 2, and we're kind of dividing that into 3 to kind of mirror what's upstairs.
Yeah. Other questions, Mr. Koenig?
Are there any restrictions as far as this, excuse me, the spaces being standalone, having sewer and water and all those things available?
They
to
work
them?
that through the condominium associations. They have ways of talking about that.
Across easements within town?
Yeah, kind of like an easement, kind of, and the
But an internal.
plumbing, I don't know where the property line ends, on the outside of the pipe or the inside the pipe, but,
So that's not something we need to be concerned with?
yeah. Mr. Komisarek?
Going to 6 units, how's it going to affect parking on the site?
Well, he's asking.
Basically, the proposed uses stay the same as what was on the original site plan. So there wouldn't be any change in the parking calculation.
Isn't there usually a car or two per unit plus cars per square foot?
I believe the original site plan was calculated on retail space on the upper floor. I believe that's 5.5 spaces per 1,000 square feet. And the basement space was calculated as 1 per employee. That was 5 or 6 spaces per
So the uses won't change? There'll be something in the condominium documents that say the basement is still industrial warehouse space and
Right. The
upstairs is retail
condominium
space? Or?
documents actually refer to the basement space as commercial warehouse, as was on the original site plan.
Well, now, this site plan doesn't have the calculations for the
parking
on it.
But it must refer you back to the original, right? Doesn't it refer? They should tie together.
The reference plan up in the
Yeah.
upper right corner
Yeah.
gets back to the site plan. And there wasn't anything on there because there wasn't any change to that, to the intended use or to the calculations.
Well, okay, that's a plan reference, but does a plan reference mean this has to abide by that?
Well,
No, I don't know what it means just to call it a plan reference.
it should tie back to that. There should be something that says that this is dependent upon that, and all the things that were said on that plan apply to this. And I think they could add a note to that. Yeah.
Because my recollection is that the calculations for this sort of property are usually a certain number plus something for the square footage. And so if you have an extra unit, the calculation for the parking is different.
How many, well, we had so much retail space.
I think originally and generally speaking is based on use as opposed to
Yeah.
per unit. And that's why I said it wasn't
Yeah.
clear because the intended use was the same as what was outlined in the site plan. So we didn't see any change.
Well, I guess it could be argued that right now you have a business, for argument's sake, say the chocolate factory, that has commercial warehouse. And if they have 3 employees with a commercial warehouse, they're required to have 3 spaces. Whereas if you now have 6 separate units, and that commercial warehouse becomes a separate unit besides itself, Swan doesn't take it over and somebody else picks it up, and you get 3 more employees, you're now 3 short. Because now it's broken apart, it's now a separate lease, because it's a separate unit. And before it was 5 units.
On the basis of the original calculation, if I recall correctly, Vaughn's area, which would be Unit 3, is 2,200 square feet. So on the basis of the original, that would have been...
I think we should have the original here.
11 spaces.
We do have the original
Oh,
here.
okay.
The original's here.
Okay.
Could you get it out,
Instead of
please?
getting recollections, let's see the original calculations.
We'll give it to Dr. Segedy here. If
I
he's
think
got,
yeah,
there's only one set.
copy?
Yeah.
Over here to look at it.
I think it'll be right on sheet
I'm also ready.
2. Is this? Yes. It should be there.
Funded on sheet 2, and it's note number 7. Calculation was for retail and personal service store, 5.5 spaces per 1,000 square feet. So in the
Okay, but
Swan's unit, for example, which is Unit 3, it's 2,200 feet. That's a little over 11 spaces are dedicated to that.
Okay,
To that unit.
Yeah.
Then if you look at it and say, well, they're also going to take the bottom space, which is another 2,200. That original calculation was one space, so you're dealing with 12 spaces that would go to Swans.
This was approved for these uses, and the uses aren't changing. All we're talking about here is the ownership of the building and how the ownership of the building is going to be divided up. I think we're getting a feel from what we need to be reviewing. Mr. Jones?
And I think, if you look at the site, you're not gonna squeeze another half a parking space out of this site, no matter what you do to it.
And certainly by changing the ownership, you haven't
Yeah,
done that.
you haven't done that.
if the change in the ownership means a change in the number of employees, then there is,
But how could it? I mean,
well, if you have,
if I own it or rent it, what difference does it make?
well, this isn't just a matter of owning or renting.
Yes, it is, as far as we're concerned.
Right. We passed it all once before.
This is an approved site plan, with those uses in there are approved in there.
Okay, and the approved uses say how many units?
How many, it says how many parking
It's the
spaces.
building and its square footage that
Yeah, but this,
dictate the parking.
okay, but this does not only, isn't based only on the square footage. The part that was just read to you was the first part of it. After that, the warehouse part is one parking space per employee. So that if you had the same area, but you have now, the ownership changed, so you have more units, then you're gonna have more employees, and you're gonna need more parking.
Only if you had more employees.
That's right.
But we're not talking about employees here tonight.
But you're changing from,
Yeah,
yes, it's in there, yes,
7,000 square feet, and you have one guy on. My shipping receiving guy. If you want, the one space on the far right is just storage. The one on the left is a warehouse for a paint distribution business. I got one shipping receiving guy on there. And I don't know I have no idea what Swan has. One girl, two girls.
Okay, and that's the way it's gonna stay.
They're not putting any more business in, they're just changing. Same
Okay, but
renters to
you see-
owners.
Okay, if it stays like that, fine. I'm a little concerned that any kind of, it has to be something that would, if there's any change in the number of employees, it should come back to us then, and I don't know how we assure that.
Well, the purpose of this is to divide up, it's really the three on the top floor, because South Pizza wants to own. And we kind of did this to facilitate them, because they were gonna move. You know, they couldn't, they wanted to own somewhere, so that's the way they want the condo is. You can buy yours, and if, you know, Swan Shock, if a couple of years wants to buy, they can, if they don't, they can, I'm gonna own it. The ones downstairs, I'm keeping, so, you know, that's not gonna change.
I don't see how we can approve a site plan and then all of a sudden say, maybe it isn't okay. The site plan is approved, we're just talking about ownership now.
That's right.
I think you're changing from 5 on the original site plan to 6 on this one.
5, what?
Possible.
They said there were 5 on the original site plan, and now there's going to be
5
6
units.
owners.
Now, there's,
5.
The original site plan didn't specify owners.
5 units.
Units.
And now there's going to be 6 units, which is potentially 6 different owners.
But with the same square footage.
Yeah, but it's not based on just the square
But
footage.
then if unit number
employees.
4 downstairs splits its 2,200 square feet into 1,000 retail and 1,000 warehouse, then it changes the parking requirement.
That changes the use of the building.
Used to, I mean, it's
Yeah.
To come back.
supposed to be warehouse.
Then they gotta come back. Yeah.
There's no parking,
Yeah.
no parking area.
yeah,
Talking
the
about
lot, the
parking,
lot
you're-
depicts the parking, I mean, it,
You're inaccurately displaying, you only have 2 spaces where you're counting 3. So that should
Well,
be
it's-
corrected also.
Mr. Chairman,
That's
if,
what I'm talking about, is that situation. Okay, the original was approved as 5 units. And
Ones that move those dumpsters
three
out
units upstairs.
What?
And then there was a loading bay that's going to be used in the warehouse.
from this direction.
And that's how it was not.
I'm guessing.
Mr. Milne?
Chairman, if they did change the use, then they're going to have to come back here. As Mr. Jones comments, the site is pretty restricted. You probably couldn't put another parking space in, but they'd have to come back with an arrangement to sort of have a use of the parking spaces around the Jade Dragon or wherever, because that car park is vastly underused. It's a huge amount of empty spaces there. So they'd have no problem in getting a use of it, or reservation. I forget the correct technical word. So they'd sort of take them over. No, but I mean.
Well, there's
well, you have the
a history between
Travers
the
up the
two
hill, too, to
parcels
get
on
there.
this,
Oh, all right,
Yeah.
I'll shut up.
okay?
So much as the guy before me, but.
There.
Whatever, for the time
If
being.
they're
for the
going to
time
change the use, they're coming
If they're
back
going,
here.
yeah, if they're going,
We'll have to discuss it.
they can't, yeah, you can't do much more intense here than what they're doing. Just-
Well, of course, but, because there have been, traffic problems there with the parking.
It's a very tight site. At certain times, it's,
It has
Yeah.
impacted the traffic on the highway. That's why we have to look at it carefully, but
what's the pleasure of the board with respect to the request to allow this to be condominiumized? Is that a verb? Is that a verb? Is that, okay. To convey it as condominiums, thank you very much. We've got Marion with us, thank you, thank you. Mr. Gagnon?
Do you want to take that in its 2 parts, the acceptance of the subdivision and then final approval?
Yeah, probably we should. I guess technically we accept it and then we approve it.
Okay, I'll move the first part as an acceptance and for possible,
Subdivision application.
One column higher, review and acceptance of subdivision application.
Yeah. Seconded by Dr. Segedy. Discussion. All those in favor?
Wait, I have a question.
Yes.
Do we have a recommendation from staff on this?
Oh, do we have a recommendation from staff?
Do not. But I will just mention that the board did suggest adding a note regarding the previously planned.
Yeah, well, we're accepting it right now. We're just accepting it for jurisdiction. So that should go on the next one. I can say that I verbally spoke with Walter and he had no problems with it, but I guess we don't have a formal recommendation tonight, absent Walter. Yeah.
Okay.
Other discussion or questions? Well, then I'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion to accept this for consideration? Okay, all are in favor. And now is it the pleasure of the board to allow this to be subdivided for condominium? There was a condition was requested that this plan make specific reference to the previously approved site plan, especially with regard to the parking situation, I think.
Yeah, that this plan is bound by the previous plan.
By all parts of the previous plan, especially the parking. Okay, we want to really get that on there.
It's just a
And I
matter
think-
of changing the plan reference and adding
Yeah.
that parking.
Yeah,
Okay. And also move with that condition.
okay, do we have a second to that motion, Mr. Bonaslawski? Discussion.
Do we want to say anything that it's bound by 702, the parking standard still? So, because if the condo changes it to 6 units and that makes a difference in the parking, I'm not sure. I'm not as versed in
It's a
the,
good idea.
I've been trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Just add to the note that they're also bound by 702, the parking standard.
I guess there would be no problem with that if the board, you wouldn't have any problem with that. That's our regulation on parking. And so that'd be like two parts to that
Whether
note.
we say it on the plan or not, it's
Yeah,
still bound.
it was
by
still
So if
bound
you
by-
want us to state it,
Yeah,
that's fine.
yeah.
We didn't do that on the piece of property up in back of St. Joe's Medical Center a little while ago when they went to, they
Yes,
condominium.
that's right. That's right. We did not do it there. This is a new invention.
Well,
Yeah.
isn't any plan we approve subject to the conditions of the
The only
Yes,
reason
they
I-
are.
Sorry.
planning and zoning regulations? I mean,
The only reason I mention is because personally, I'm not sure if going from 5 units to 6 units changes the parking equation in this case.
Yeah.
And we're sort of approving it going from where the parking calculation was 5 units, now it's 6.
Yeah.
This motion changes it from 5 to 6, so that may change the calculation.
Okay, we don't, I guess we ought to
Yeah,
sort this out here. Does it really do that?
If it
Please-
doesn't, I'll be willing to
Yeah. Well, I wasn't clear on whether
accept
it
the
did or
board's
didn't,
opinion on that.
because I thought the use was the same, but would it allow another space, or would it require another space if it were?
if, it would if there is an additional employee.
Yeah, I think it does boil down to another employee.
And if you're saying, well, okay, we have 5 condo unit, or 5 units now, and we're gonna have 6 condo units. It doesn't say that there has to be another employee, but it sure suggests that there might be one.
And if one more parking space was added, would that break the bank over here? Are they exactly at the number that?
Okay, well, we have to see the calculation.
This is kind of a unique building that you get 4 retail stores up top.
3, I think.
3.
3.
Okay,
Or
3.
2.
I was just in there today at the dance studio, so, and I should know. But the thing was that, the back of it isn't really suited for, it's storage now. It's not suited for retail, opening up retail space.
We're not talking about it being retail. We're talking about it being, the concern is with warehouse. What? It's a warehouse space.
Right, and that's what this 1 per employee thing comes in, that's for warehouse. And yes, they are right up 37 spaces.
So they'd be a space short if they actually had another employee come
That's
in.
right.
If one of these wasn't used by 37.
Why would I add an employee?
Well, we don't.
You can sell it.
We have nothing here that says you're not allowed to hire another employee.
You can sell a unit.
Right.
Okay.
But that's still the same as this original site plan I'm bound by.
You have a mixed calculation here, in that the street level was calculated based on square footage. X number of spaces per square foot. The basement space, which was anticipated to be warehouse, was done on the basis of employees, making an assumption that there might be up to 5 employees in the basement area dealing with warehouse functions.
Yes.
And we don't have any restrictions on numbers of employees per square foot?
That's exactly according to our regulations.
Okay. Right now I have 1, I occupy 5,000 square feet of that 7. I have 1 guy that works on it. Swan, honestly, I have no idea. If they've got 2 girls, 3 girls, and it's probably, they may have 4 girls from 1 until 3, and nobody from, I don't know what they have down there. There's a couple girls that walk in there and they do packaging. I think it's usually 2 people, and they're usually high school kids that come in after school. So I don't, I couldn't tell you. I'm not, we're not changing.
Yeah.
Not changing.
I just have a question for the board. What if there was an existing site and it wasn't something that somebody wanted to come in front of the planning board, they just wanted to split something in half and say, okay, I've got way too much space, I can use half of it for another office. Does that bump up against parking requirements on the site? What's the procedure for somebody to do, because that's kind of what's going on.
Yeah, for warehouse, that would.
Well, theoretically, they would come to the planning office, first, and then if they had a problem, they might have to get a waiver in a case like this, if they needed an extra employee down there. A waiver or build another parking space, if that was possible. I don't think it is in this case, as somebody pointed out earlier. Could squeeze another one in. I would suggest we make a reference to the original plan and calculations and point out that the parking, that even though this is condominiumized, the total parking for the plan is still limited by what it says over there. If they exceed that number of employees or customers or whatever else, then they'd have to come back to us. But the overall site is still being held to those numbers.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Put in a restriction on the number of employees, and that does it, I think, for us.
Yeah, well, a note here, I would tie it to that plan, the condominium, tie it back to the original approval.
You already approved it, John.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all you have to do is refer to it.
Yeah, but you want to say on here.
Right.
That you're limited by the parking as per the approved site plan. I think that should do it. Put a note on this that will tie it to that.
Yeah. Or,
Okay.
actually, more specifically, limited as to the number of employees because of the parking restriction.
Just tie them to that parking spaces, okay, and let them juggle it. Yeah,
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like this thing.
yeah, if somebody quits or leaves. Okay, so where were we at? Somebody had made a motion to approve this with that time?
Second it.
Yeah,
Move the motion.
so if you're happy with that
Yes.
phraseology, then can we go forward? Is there other discussion of the motion? No discussion, I'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion? Any opposed or abstaining? None. Okay, Mr. Komisarek abstained, others voted in favor, and the plan is approved with that condition. Put a note on it. Okay. Thank you. That was going to be the easy one.
We can't even write up the regulations in town. We're gonna put immigration to go, these things.
We put them there and do the best we can.
And they're never enforced. That's just something that,
Okay, the next item
Loads of things that are enforced.
on tonight's agenda is item number 7. Gawthorpe and McClintock, review for acceptance and a possible final approval of an application for a proposed 2-lot conventional subdivision in the R Residential District located at 26 Wire Road. The parcel lies within the Aquifer Conservation District, tax map parcel 6D 530. Okay, Mr. Carpenter, you're representing this client as well?
I am.
Okay. Thank you.
This is a property on Wire Road. It's located at 26 Wire Road. The Effie Everett Turnpike is right here. This is the overpass of Wire Road. comes up. Mallard Point is over in this area. This property encompasses 98,037 square feet, or 2.251 acres. Overall frontage, and this is kind of it's a funny situation because of the jog here, so that's not calculated in, but the extent of the frontage here is about 275 feet. This is in the R4 residential district and has existing water and sewer on the front of the property. Existing water line comes along on our side of the Blair Road and crosses under the highway. Sewer, the last structure is here in front of the house, the existing residence, and it flows down this way. The zone with those provisions requires 100 feet of frontage and 40,000 square feet per lot. In August of this year, on the 24th, the Zoning Board of Adjustment approved the variance to allow this subdivision with a lot frontage of at least 122 feet down in this area. And their one condition on that was that the property connect to municipal sewer, which is our proposal anyway. The proposal before you this evening is to subdivide one lot off the existing property. This lot would have 122 feet of frontage as granted by the variance. It has 55,223 square feet, or 1.268 acres. And it leaves a remaining parcel with the existing house of 42,814 square feet, or 0.983 acres. And that, if we just take the actual frontage dimensions there, it's about 153 feet of frontage. We had several comments come back. We received comments yesterday from Steve sent over from Stantec. One was addressing the driveway and questioning how that was going to be approached. This right now has a circular driveway. My client's proposal here would be to utilize this existing curb cut and bring the driveway in here. This is in the state's jurisdiction. I've been talking with the state over the last couple of weeks, and as late as yesterday, I had a meeting with them just to review the situation, see where they were at. Yesterday, they indicated that everything looked fine. They didn't see a problem with it. It would require a driveway permit through District 5. We have not filed for that yet. And the final location of the proposed house on the site that would affect how the driveway was brought in and the geometry of it. Site distance in this area is good. The road is basically level, so we have pretty much a wide open shot in both directions. Well in excess of 300 feet. I don't know what the exact dimensions are, but easily from the plan I can see that it's at least 330 this way, 360 this way, and most likely it's more than that. I'm not exactly sure how much more at this point. The driveway currently is relatively flat platform, and from this point would slope slightly downward into the lot. The proposal here would be to put the house somewhere in this general area and to fill in front of the house so that the grade there. So we'd be well under the 10% maximum. We'd probably have 2 or 3% driveway cost. Water service is not a problem. Sewer, we would likely connect into the existing sewer manhole. Based on the grades that we have out there, we think that it can probably be done gravity. There has been some discussion about having a lockout basement and possibly having facilities in the basement of the house. If that were the case, we probably would need to put in a pump low-duty pump there and pump up. All of that is outlined in town regulations as far as how that will be done, and we don't have a problem with dealing with that. Let's see what else is on there. That, I think, pretty much covers my presentation. Happy to answer any questions if you can.
Okay, thank you. I have some review comments here, but first I'll open for questions from the board. Any questions from anyone? Mr. Milnes?
I appreciate that you have got two cuts onto the curb now. I don't quite share your view of the sight lines, but I think they are a bit tight. Would it be possible to consider one curb cut and then have a split driveway with sort of shared access to make it better? The two curb cuts close to that bridge are not exactly ideal. I mean, as a board, we try to reduce curb cuts, not sort of maintain them.
The initial thinking was just to minimize what we were actually doing out there. And because there were two curb cuts there now, we figured that was a practical solution. If we were going to split it, I'm not sure how you would look at splitting it, or are you talking about?
I just talk about one central driveway with cross easements.
That would be a possibility.
I offer it as a thought.
This evening is Becky Goffler,
Yeah.
Daughter of the owner here, and she's going to be the one that's building on the site. So we hadn't actually considered that. It's not something that's out of the realm of possibility.
Okay, I just offered as a thought.
Other questions from the board? Mr. Jones?
I just have a question about the explanation of the frontage.
Yes, sir.
Where it looks like the Everett Turnpike, the state of New Hampshire, or whoever owns that portion up to the driveway. Is that correct? Is that I'm interpreting that, or am I interpreting it differently? I mean, does Merrimack interpret that frontage as being road frontage on Wire Road as being there's a separation between lot 6530-1 and Wire Road?
Mr. Chairman?
Well, I'm not sure.
I can tell you what the zoning board, how the zoning board considered it.
This is where it's all over, but go ahead. Yeah.
The state owns that piece of property. They took it in 1950, something or other. And so that, even though there's a large piece of frontage, the applicant doesn't own it. And we gave the variance because it's a big piece of property. You can't get it back from the state. The frontage was made to prevent overcrowding, and this wouldn't, less than 150 feet, 122 wouldn't be overcrowding because it's still empty land. So it's a unique piece of property, and that's why they got the variance.
All right, did they get a variance for being a landlocked piece of property? Because we're trying to subdivide a potentially a landlocked piece of property.
Well, that's not so. The property today is not landlocked.
Right, if we subdivide it, then that lot could potentially be landlocked if there's not an easement.
And that's what they got the variance for. Now, that's, okay, that's why they needed a variance, because they didn't have frontage.
So what part is their frontage? I mean, it looks like it's set back there, and so it's hard to understand that some piece of it is actually frontage and not cut off by another piece of land.
From this point
from that corner
over is what's calculated as the frontage for this lot.
Okay.
And that's 120.
And that's just town right away in front of them to the roadway?
No, the town doesn't own that. That's
the state.
It's actually an interesting situation here. So let me jump in and
thank you.
Address that issue. There's actually two things that occurred with the state. The first was the taking for the F.E. Everett itself, and that was a taking that did this, okay? That was what predicated the action by the ZBA, because we couldn't use this even though
that's not frontage. That is not frontage.
On Wire Road, it's not been accepted as being legal frontage by decision of the town.
Right.
So that was fine. This area in here, you're all familiar with this, so I mean, when they did this back in '53, they had proposed the overpass there. What they ended up with on each end, this right-of-way here is somewhat duplicated on the other side, and it was done to accommodate slopes and any drainage that was necessary in conjunction with the overpass. When they actually worked out the overpass and looked at how the roadway would be blended back in here, they had additional taking on both ends for Wire Road. And this was not just Wire Road, but the Blue Silver Road was in the same situation, where they had an additional taking to accommodate the improvements necessary for that section of Wire Road. So it's actually two separate operations there. From here over basically goes with the F.E. Everett. This is, for lack of a better reference, I suppose more in tune with something like the DW Highway, which is a state road. Obviously, the state is not maintained.
They have the right to pass over it, however. The driveways, and so on are in it already. And so,
just for reference, I mean, that occurred, this was in March of '53, this happened in November of '53. This driveway is shown on the original plans by the state, so that predates 1952. I have no idea how long that driveway has been there, and it's been in that configuration.
Mr. Jones.
Well, I'm just looking at that existing driveway, and I understand where you're getting at, but now we're taking that large piece of property and we're now subdividing it now and creating another lot, the 530-1. So what's going to give that rights to that driveway through the public service? Have to be conveyed easement on the property, or I mean, that's one of my questions.
That would be a state driveway permit.
In this case, yeah. I'm sorry, I misspoke.
And basically what it comes down to is the driveway is there. It's being used every day. The situation with the state is that we're changing the use of the driveway. In this case, we're expanding it because we're going to have a single family home. So that requires us to file with them a driveway permit application.
Right, but I'd just be cautious for us to subdivide that lot now without any legal
Access to it.
access to it, right? I mean, because the variance is for the frontage, but there was no, I don't see, or if there was anything in reference to actually accessing Wire Road for this particular property.
If I can address it in two ways, I look at it. One is that, the state of New Hampshire driveway permit, I would anticipate is going to be a condition of this board. For that reason.
Yes, that's.
Should that not occur for any reason, then we have Mr. Mills' suggestion to do a single drive, in which case we could convey an easement over this portion of land to bring that driveway in from this direction. Effectively the same thing, but different.
The problem is, at this time, we'd be creating a second lot that has really no access.
Well, with the condition, if the board were to put a condition on it that the state approve this driveway access.
Well, this driveway doesn't access it either. It just could.
Well, it would be reconfigured.
You'll have to tweak it in, so.
Reconfigured like this.
Yeah, well, I think.
So it comes into the lot like that.
Yeah.
And that's part of the driveway permit application to the state.
Yeah,
That's what will be shown to them.
But we shouldn't be approving something that has no such access. What we have here, there is no access to the new lot we're creating.
What we're being asked to do is approve it with a condition, John. I think the recommendation of the staff is to approve it with the condition that the state approve the driveway access.
And if it's not
Through
approved,
that
nothing
curb cut
is
existing.
approved.
So there is,
Yes.
okay.
And address how we're going to deal with it.
So, with the condition that there'd be another driveway that's not shown here. Or a bifurcation of this,
Modification
a
of that driveway.
Modification of the
Yeah.
existing, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think we should be shown what it is that we're approving. Not, the state will come up with something.
Well,
We don't know what
Okay.
the state's gonna come up with.
we
They
can
have
recommend to them, it's their jurisdiction, we can recommend to them that they access from this existing drive into that lot, and if the state approves. If the state doesn't approve it, then they're back here, as he said.
Oh, okay, yeah, but what I would say is, the recommendation from this existing drive be shown on the plan.
On the final approved plan, yes, we wouldn't sign the plan without it, if that's a condition. Yeah.
Two steps. One is an acceptance.
This will be a two-step process, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
okay, well, acceptance is not only our, let's see, did we go to accept this?
We have not reviewed, we have not voted to accept it.
Okay, because when we vote to accept, we have to have a plan that is complete.
Yes, complete to our satisfaction. Yeah. Yeah. I was looking to see if there were any conditions put on by the zoning board of adjustment, and I always ask for this, and it just never seems
The sole condition that I
Yeah.
saw from looking at the minutes
Yeah.
was that both properties be connected to the municipal sewer.
Yeah.
And to my knowledge, the house already, the existing house already is.
That's what it says.
Yeah. We would be connecting the proposed residence to the municipal sewer.
I think it's in,
I don't find it anywhere, but at any rate, attaching to the municipal sewer would certainly be a requirement in this case. Finding where
There's
it
a
says-
zoning board deliberations and finding of fact, but there's no condition.
That's what
There are
I'm saying,
findings-
that's
there
what
are
I'm saying.
findings of fact. Findings of fact are not a condition.
That's right.
I have a copy of the minutes.
Well, we do too.
Okay.
Oh, we thought we did.
And it
Maybe
says here, deliberations of the board, Phil Strait noted that there is no house on the left, so there would be no violation of the spirit of the ordinance. He thought this is a good proposal. The area what the variance
with the
is granted
condition.
by a 5-0 vote on a motion made by William
Okay.
Perry,
Okay, here it is.
seconded
Okay.
by Ron Duvall, with a
Okay.
condition that the lot and existing structure be connected to town sewer.
Got it. Okay, thank you, thank you. I was reading those findings of facts 3 times, I couldn't find it. Okay. Okay, are there other questions from the board? I have, as I said, a bunch of review and recommendations.
Oh, really?
Go ahead,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm just a little bothered by the comment in here from Attorney Michael that they could build a duplex here. We keep hearing talk about building a single-family home, and in the verbiage here, I read that they don't intend to build or buy a home at all, or can't afford to build or buy a home. So I'm not sure I understand
Where are you
the whole
reading from
intent of
now?
using this.
Same-
From
same
that
page.
same page.
About 2 paragraphs above.
Above it, Attorney Michael?
Above the paragraph title, deliberations of the board.
Okay. Attorney Michael noted it would be legal to build a duplex. The applicant needs to appear before the planning board.
I think he was referring to the original house, adding a section onto that, and having one house, one duplex
Yeah.
house, which would not need any variance, wouldn't need any regulations, but the proposal is to split the lot and make 2 separate houses instead of one duplex.
Oh,
The issue is,
Okay.
and we're representing it to you here tonight, it's a single family residence.
And I think you
Not that it
couldn't build a
guarantees it.
duplex on here, could you? It's not big enough. I'm not sure.
I'd have to go through, but I don't believe so.
Yeah,
That's not
I'm
what-
not sure if it's,
That was just said in the heat of
Yeah.
battle, you might say.
Just maybe thinking about density with
never
our
do that.
yeah,
per acre,
Yeah.
but
A
that's,
little bit different discussion with the ZBA.
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
here.
Okay, are there other questions from the board then? I do have some recommendations from Walter on this, but he's recommending acceptance as it's substantially complete and contains sufficient information as to invoke jurisdiction by the board. That's his first. Then, with regard to the subdivision plan, there's several other things. Maybe we should accept it, and then I can go into the other conditions, huh? Mr. Gagnon moves, Mr. Bonaslawski seconds the motion to accept the plan for consideration. Any discussion of that? Mr. Segedy?
Okay, without showing how they're gonna get to that property, I don't think it's complete enough to be accepted.
Okay. I guess I
That's my
disagree because I see a driveway there that could easily be configured to do that.
Oh,
So
it
I'm
could
not
be, but
concerned.
it isn't.
Well-
If it were configured, all they have to do is draw the driveway the way they want it, and I'd say, great.
Mine shows it right here.
Well, mine, okay, mine doesn't. And if it did, I would say, great.
Okay, other discussion of the motion? All those in favor of the motion to accept the plan for consideration? All right. Any opposed? Abstaining?
You said I was gonna vote against
Mr. Segedy opposed. Others have voted to accept the plan for consideration.
If
So
it
now-
wasn't going for the state permit, I might, agree, but it's gotta be approved by the state. So,
Okay, the staff recommended approval of this plan. Now we're talking about the subdivision plan per se. And I'll read you his conditions, but there are some conditions behind these, so you'll understand some of them might change. The street number, the signed stamped no adverse impact statement should be added to the final plan. Street numbers for each lot be confirmed with the fire department and added to the final plan. The 40-foot wetland setback for buildings to be identified on the final plan. And I don't see, I think I see that here. Was that on there before?
It says 40 feet, it just doesn't say why it should.
Oh, why it's there.
Building
Okay, as a building setback, so it should be shown as such. Additional monumentation for property bounds to be set, to be shown at lot corners and points of curvature along the public right-of-way. I guess we need at least one, I see one.
You have them marked there.
Got them on the lot corners, and
Yeah.
am I interpreting that to mean that?
Yeah,
he wants them on the
the
state's
break
right-of-way?
points.
Just on the tangents.
Yeah,
There are
on the
four-
break
I think
points.
there are 4 tangents that are missing.
Okay.
Just
Yeah. Yeah.
those 2 corners.
Yeah. Okay, change note 7 to read, quote, "The subject parcels are to be serviced by municipal water, Merrimack Village District, and sanitary sewer as required by the terms of the variance granted August 24th, 2006, case number 2006-22. So that ties it back to the sewerage. The approved driveway access to Lot 6D 530-1 to be shown on the final plan. And the transition line between New Hampshire DOT and the town's right-of-way to be shown on the final plan. So he wants to identify what the town owns and the state owns there. Now, yes?
I may have missed what you read, but did you mention the number 6 on that list?
The applicant is to I did miss that one, I apologize. The applicant is to secure a driveway permit from New Hampshire DOT prior to the signing of the plans. And then that approved driveway is to be shown on the final configuration. I'll go on and, any question on that, and then before I go.
Go on.
Okay. Dave Lent, no, from Ed Chase to Dave Lent. Ed Chase has reviewed the plans received October 16th and comments as follows. 1, what is the proposal for access to the new parcel? Will the existing drive be reconfigured? So that's the same question again. Are there any site distance issues? Question. Coordination with Merrimack Wastewater Division, Don Hamill, is suggested regarding the sewer connections. So that comes when they're ready to go. What is the proposed for the existing well, which appears to be on the property line? And there appears to be a transition between New Hampshire DOT and the town right-of-way near Public Service New Hampshire Pole 18-1. GSSI should confirm. Now, I think you've already addressed some of these. Mr. Carpenter? Yeah. Yeah, okay. So, what about the well? Well, I've got an extensive letter from Granite State. Maybe I should go through that. Are you-
It's largely extensive because I restated most of what Stan Tech had to say.
Okay.
Largely their comments on petrol.
Those were in response to Stantec's comments. Let me read you Stantec's comments quickly, and then I'll give you the response from Granite State. Stantec has the following comments. No driveway is shown on entering the lot is shown on the plans. Therefore, no evaluation can be made. However, since the new driveway will access the state highway, a New Hampshire DOT permit appears to be required. An additional consideration is that the previous taking by New Hampshire DOT may entail limited access in this location, and the highway taking appears to be configured for future highway access ramps, which may further impact or limit entry to the lot. And your response to that was, let me see, it would have, let me see here. I can find, if I can find it. The driveway will be designed in accordance with both the Hampshire DOT and town requirements, including site distance and grades. As noted, this falls within the stated right-of-way for Wire Road. We have discussed the driveway location with New Hampshire DOT, and they report that they do not see a problem with the proposal. This will require a driveway permit from District 5, which will be filed as soon as our client determines the location and orientation of the house on the lot. It would be appropriate to list the receipt of this permit as a condition of approval. The FE Everett Turnpike taking is not configured for future access ramps, but is configured to address slopes in connection with the Wire Road overpass. So that's the issue with
The chances of getting another 2 ramps in Merrimack are nil in the current situation. Let's face it, we can't even get north-facing ramps.
0 to nil.
Well, no, we thought we were gonna land on the moon either 50 years ago.
Yeah. 2, although no changes to the parcels, this is back to Stantec. Although no changes to the parcels are shown, the plan should include a statement regarding drainage as per section 416C. And as no improvements were required to create, this is the response, as no improvements were required to create this lot, this statement was not included on the plan. If requested, the statement will be added to the final plan. So. 3, the driveway requirements have not been established per section 1413.1. In particular, the design engineer should verify site distances. And the response to that is, let me see, based on the existing driveway curb cut to be used, site distance can be established from the submitted plans. From the existing curb cut, there is more than 360 feet to the north and more than 330 feet to the south. The existing driveway provides the 20-foot platform required, and the proposed driveway will slope slightly downward onto the lot. The actual grades and configurations will depend on placement of the house and garage. These issues will be addressed in the permit process. Next, they say sewer connections should be coordinated with Merrimack Wastewater Division. And it says the response is that sewer service for lot 530-1 would outlet to the existing sewer manhole on Wire Road. Connection would be in accordance with town regulations. 5, the disposition of the well on the property line should be noted on the plans. The response is that both lots will be serviced by municipal water supply. No alteration of the existing dug well has been proposed. And number 6, the transition between New Hampshire DOT and the town right-of-way should be noted on the plan. And the response is the state right-of-way ends at the jog in the right-of-way as shown. A notation will be added to the plan. And let me see, then he mentions that we received comments. That's the extent of Mr. Carpenter. I guess you wrote these, huh?
I did.
Yes, right. Okay, did I miss anything? Did I represent you? Well, okay. There's a, let me see, thank you for, they had not received the comments from Ed Chase at the time they wrote that. However, they're mostly repeats of the same thing. There's sort of an overlap between Ed Chase's and Stantec's reviews in that the proposed access with the existing drive, what about the drive, what about the site distance, coordinated with wastewater division, what are they going to do about the well, and the transition of between state and town property in the frontage. And that's the extent of the material that we have on review. And we haven't, the fire would be a minor comment to put numbers usually on these house lots. Questions or comments from the board on any of the above? Mr. Shepherd?
On the plan, what's the rectangle to the west of the well?
Rectangle as well.
Mr. Butler.
Not a building or anything?
Okay, Mr.
Yeah, just on number 7, where you talked about municipal water and sewer.
Yeah.
That will be changed, that the property will be serviced?
Yes, the recommendation from staff is that the subject parcels are to be serviced, a note be added to the plan saying the subject parcels are to be serviced by municipal water, MVD, and sanitary sewer as required by the terms of the variance granted on August 24th, 2006.
Okay. No, because I just, from Mr. Carpenter's letter, they just say that it's available. They didn't say they were going to use it. I just want to
Yeah.
make sure it's locked in to use it.
A note will do that, yeah.
The whole process here with the zoning and
Yeah.
the density,
Yeah.
lot size, is all predicated on the fact that that's available if we would use it, so.
Well, I wasn't worried till I saw the little well there.
Sure, yeah,
And,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
said, oh, maybe.
Well, this is a dug
Because of
well,
the-
right?
yeah.
It probably doesn't even, it's not plumbed into the house or anything anyway. It's the animals, yeah. Other questions or comments? Mr. Jones?
I just, I always play the devil advocate on something like this. In granting the subdivision and approving the subdivision, I would tend to think that the town, Merrimack, would want to have some kind of an way to show an easement onto that property that is not through the state's property. Even though they're gonna get a state permit, even though everything is fine, 50 years from now, when this guy wants to sue him because he's done something to his property, and where does the town stand legally when this, for subdivision, where they don't have an access that is not shown and not part of the plan, that we approve this for,
I don't,
to actually get this to be subdivided?
I don't understand.
Driveway will be added to the plan.
Is it gonna show an easement through the state property?
They'll have a
This is
permit.
state right of way.
It's state right of way. They'll give you a permit to put that driveway there, in their right of way, just like all the properties on Route 3. Yeah, I mean, on the state-owned part of Route 3. The state gives you a permit to enter certain width, certain, as shown on a certain configuration. And it's the same all the way up and down the road where the state owns. This is their right of way, and they grant you a permit to access your land through their right of way. And there's no greater liability here than there is in any of the places along Route 3 where this is the situation, or anywhere else where there's state road, Route 101A, for instance.
So the plan does come back with the driveway shown in there. It'll indicate and it'll be part of the plan, it'll be a note on the plan, or
There will be a
The
permit.
driveway will be shown, there will be a note added to the plan making reference to the driveway permit.
Permit number on file with the state.
And it's all on file, those permits are kept on
and
file.
that is part of the condition that we approve the subdivision.
That's one of the recommendations here, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, I can
Yeah.
buy that.
Yeah, there's no liability to the town here. This is any more so than, I mean, any other.
Is the proposal here that this is going to come back to us once the driveway is decided on?
The board can decide that. The recommendation here was to approve it on condition that they show it and that they get a permit for it. If the board wants to see it, you can vote that way, and it'll come back here for the verification of the condition once it's done. It's up to you.
But surely, Mr. Chairman, if we mandate that you and the secretary don't sign it unless it's there, why do we have to waste our time looking at it again?
It's just your choice. Your choice, Mr. Mills.
It's not my choice, I'm not voting.
Okay.
I'm only making a point,
Okay.
gently.
Okay.
You said the same thing I was going to say, because they won't sign it unless all the conditions are met anyway.
As long as the conditions, Ron, it's a done deal.
So,
So then what is the pleasure of the board?
I have a couple of minor issues there. In your preliminary layout there, you've met a lot of the requirements and subdivision regulations, but there are two in there that should have been addressed. One is subsection M, a statement and contours in sufficient detail to indicate clearly the method of storm water drainage on and off the subdivision, methods of sanitary sewer, disposal and water supply, soils data, and so forth. You addressed two of that, but it's pretty hard to look at a flat piece of paper with no contours as to where that driveway is going to go.
Right.
Okay.
If you go further in your regulations and look at there's a section on minor subdivision, and it accepts certain sections of 405.
Yeah.
And it basically accepts items H through O for a minor subdivision.
H through O?
Yes. So that is one of the accepted items.
Okay. And the other part of it?
I do in fact have a plan with photography on it if you want to see it. I can do that.
Yeah. Well, I'm familiar that there are grades in there, and those grades are also going to affect drainage as well as driveway entrances and things like that. I guess in a final analysis, the state's going to have to make a decision where they want it. But do they have sufficient information based on topography to do that?
They will. Their requirements are pretty specific in terms of what they want to see for the driveway design. They look at tank distances, they look at grades, they have specific criteria just as the town improving the driveway equipment. And so they will be looking at
Do you
drainage
have to
as well. They're very sensitive to drainage. as
You
the
do.
town is.
You will be providing them topography, is that what you're doing? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, basically, they want a graded plan for the driveway.
That's different than I think Pete's talking about topography for the lot.
Right.
Coming off the lot.
Or coming off the
They're
road.
less concerned about the lot than in terms of, what's actually happening.
Well, if you see enough
Driveway design
topography,
itself and how it blends into the existing topography.
well,
So it's a combination. They're
Well,
not real
that's-
concerned about what's over here.
yeah, I realize that. It's all in this area that also concerns us with drainage. You've addressed the issue of sewer, sanitary sewer, and disposal, water supply, and the other issues that are in here have been addressed, but I'm still back to the same point. It'd be very helpful to look at topography when you're going to make a decision on the driveway. Likewise, it'd be helpful for the state. You say you're going to
Right, we have
prepare for
that, right,
that.
we have that information and we'll be providing that.
Okay. Why couldn't you provide it here?
He thought he didn't
As I
have
said,
to.
we had it, but it was an accepted item, and so we said, why?
He thought he didn't have to by the regulation.
Right.
Yeah, because it's
Well-
accepted. Yeah.
I mean, I have a copy of it with me, if you'd like to look at it, I'm happy to show it to you.
But your exemptions from A through O does not exempt P, which says you need state approval of the municipal, state, or federal agency having jurisdiction
That's
for
correct.
your preliminary plan. In other words, you're bringing in your plan. At this point, this is really a preliminary plan. This is not a final.
That could be a lot.
I'm not hung up on that, but I think that for the future, you want to address these issues accordingly. In other words, we would be sitting,
The subdivision itself does not require state approval because we have
no,
municipal sewer.
not the subdivision, but the approval that will be involved with the subdivision that affects other municipal, state, or federal agency. There is a section in there that affects the state agency. New Hampshire DOT.
Right. And if the things go forward here, then that's a condition of approval.
Well, the only reason I'm bringing this out is that other members have raised some issues and questions here, and they have a certain amount of difficulties. This, by addressing these issues with sufficient contours, which you're going to provide to the state anyways, and B, that you would have applied to the state. Obviously, you've already submitted something, according to your earlier testimony. You submitted something.
No, we've discussed it with the state, but we haven't actually submitted the application yet.
Mhm. Okay. So you will be preparing something then for them with the topography info?
Yes.
Okay. That would have been very helpful and probably would have eliminated a lot of the questions that were raised here this evening. So that's all I'm trying to point out. I don't see it fatal, personally don't see it as fatal, but other members could do that.
Mr. Commissar, I guess I would echo Mr. Gagnon's opinion also, is that your firm has represented several preliminary drawings before the board with copious amounts of information on plans, almost to the point of showing too many options. And all of a sudden, this one's coming in very light, extremely light. Just a drastic difference.
Well, in fairness, I think Mr. Carpenter thinks he met all of our regulations and submitted everything that was required.
Because it is a minor subdivision.
Since it's a minor subdivision, so.
Yeah. Well, you get through,
I appreciate your statement, though.
well,
And that's fine.
you may feel that way, but it's pretty hard for us to make a judgment on that, even though it may have exempted subsection M, but there's a direct correlation between M and P, and that's what I'm trying to get.
I understood the connection.
Yes.
I'll compare the map and lot numbering. There's just standard procedure, just like the fire confirms the street addresses. Assessors rule 101, I don't know if they have looked, I don't know, but if they've looked at this, just to confirm the map and lot numbering to the assessor's office. That's typically done, I just don't know if that's been brought before the assessors yet.
Where'd you get the lot?
We have not.
Yeah.
But we follow the guidelines in the subdivision regulations.
Yeah.
As far as the convention.
Sometimes a new subdivided lot will end up on another tax map. So that they will take a look at it.
Okay, we can make that,
That's fine.
yeah, yeah.
Touch base with them.
What's the pleasure of the board?
I don't know if we can take and grant final approval for this. This is just review of acceptance.
We have accepted it.
We have
We have
accepted
voted to accept it.
Okay.
And so now the request is that we vote to approve it. That's the request of the applicant. And the recommendation of the staff is to approve it with 8, now 9 conditions.
In those 9 conditions that will result in fulfilling the requirement of 4.06, the final submission requirement. The final submission of plans. This is not final. It's going to get us there, right? Is that right?
Right.
Now, this is a final plan. I believe this has been submitted.
Oh, you're not going to sign it until it is final with the driveway drawn on it and stuff like that.
Yeah, but the submission,
All the conditions are met.
But it's,
You're not gonna sign it.
but we approve a final plan with conditions, and then the chairman signs it.
yeah.
So this would have to be a final plan. And
Yeah.
okay, and,
No, I don't see it as a final plan because you need topography, you need a whole host of other things.
Well, he felt he didn't, and if
Well,
we,
this is, the different
plan-
section is not exempted. 406 is not exempted.
okay, final submission, all, plus the final plat, the road plan. And where's the waiver of this?
Preliminary.
the waiver is only for preliminaries.
Oh, he said it was for minor. There's a waiver on minors, too. This is a minor subdivision.
Only for the preliminary on minor subdivision.
Well,
It addresses those items I mentioned, and it also addresses 406.2 and 406.3
As part of the waiver.
as part of the exceptions to
The
the minor
exceptions.
subdivision, right?
Okay, so back to 406.9.
Well, actually, you're looking at 406.3, the topographic, but that's what you're referring to.
okay, so the final topography is required and it's not here. That's what I'm hearing. Oh, that's, okay, that's what I want to establish.
Right, I'm gonna,
Thank you.
That is reviewed by staff.
What?
You understand, by staff, it's a minor subdivision, and those are exempted.
Okay, minor subdivisions. What is it?
407.
407, yeah.
405,
Eliminate
406.2.
458, 463.
And then 406.2, not 406.1, and section 406.3. And any other portions
Yeah.
of 405 and 406.1 as may be deemed unnecessary by the board. It gets back to 406.1, if you follow that.
461, is it eliminate?
Any other portions of 405 and 406.1 as may be deemed unnecessary by the board.
Okay.
Topography is unnecessary.
Okay, if you, it looks to me like topography is required.
Topography appears under 406.3. Topographic plan. If you're seeing it somewhere else, please point it out, because I haven't seen it. And 406.3 is specifically accepted under 407.
Okay. This is to do with the size, 461 all has to do with the size.
2.
The way I read it, it doesn't need a topographic plan.
Yeah, that's right. That's, I'm agreeing with it at this point.
Yeah.
This is the topographic plan.
So the topographic plan shall be the same scale as the final plan.
Yeah. But this is all 406.3, and 406.3 is eliminated for minor.
Well, not, if you stop there, yes, and 406.3, and any other portions of 405, 406.1 as may be deemed unnecessary by the board.
Yeah.
Well, I don't.
No, actually, I don't think the board has anything to deem right there. It says that eliminated are A through O, 406.3, and anything else that we
Yeah.
deem necessary.
Yeah.
So 406.3 is, by this word,
Eliminated.
We can add other things.
Actually, it could be read the other way. I wouldn't read it the other way, but
you would.
That
Personally, I don't think that is that fatal.
For 406.3 and any other portions that may be deemed unnecessary. In other words, if 406.3 is deemed unnecessary and any other ones deemed unnecessary, is one way it could be read.
I have no problem with submitting a topographic plan. If you're happy, I'm fine with that.
There's no thing just over the driveway.
We're going to be looking at drainage design, a whole host of other things. And, you know, it truly is a minor, but we have issues here that dealing with slope and a number of other issues. So maybe you ought to really consider them for your final submission.
This is the final submission. This is the final submission.
I don't consider it.
Mr. Koenig.
I move to grant a final approval to this plan as submitted with the 8 conditions that you have, 8 or 9?
There were 9,
divisions?
we
9
added the
divisions?
assessor's
9
review.
conditions.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Did we add anything in there that would bring up?
Seconded by Mr. Bonaslawski. Okay. Question, Mr.
Do we
Gagnon?
have anything in there that's bringing in topography in that section?
No. No, I'll read them, you want to, I'll just quickly go over them again. One was the no adverse impact statement, the street numbers, and by the fire department review, the 40-foot wetland setback being shown for buildings, additional monumentation on the property bounds, changing note 7 to require water, municipal water and sewer. And number 6 is the applicant to secure a driveway permit from New Hampshire DOT prior to signing of the plans. And 7, the approved driveway access has got to be shown on the plan. And the transition line between the New Hampshire DOT and town rights of way is to be identified on the plan. And the assessor's review for the lot numbers. Those are the 9 conditions.
Okay, so it's just showing some driveway access that's necessary for you to sign it. We sign it over
And if
to
it's
you.
We're going to show on the plan what is actually submitted to DOT and what is approved by DOT.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, yes, and our chairman will look at that.
Yes.
And,
As long as you're gonna get it in there, that's fine with me.
yeah, it's, okay, so
We'll
you,
let you know when it comes in and everybody can come and look at it. If there's any hangups, you can revisit that.
okay, maybe we should put in some word about a satisfactory driveway access to the property, and we'll let our chairman determine whether it's satisfactory.
I expect it to go through this cut here and go just about straight into the
I know you may,
property. And if it's something
I don't
big
wanna-
time different than that, I'll bring it back here.
I'd just like to point out that the state has criteria and specifications for driveway and its access to the road.
Yep.
And those will be detailed, and if you wanted to just note on that acceptance of the state that they would show perhaps the slope of the driveway, but I don't think that they would approve anything that did not meet their standards for the approach, for sight distance, and also for that driveway access.
That's not the part I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about the part of the driveway that gets it to the property.
But that entire driveway access, it sounds like, because it's on state property, they're gonna have to show that, and you show that on the plan also, from Wire Road into the property. It's gonna be on that plan. It's gonna be part of the approval for the state.
The state really doesn't care about what happens once it gets to the property. They're just worried about the part that goes through the state land onto, matter of fact, they're probably not even worried about that. Just, really, they worry about the curb cut.
No, they look at the whole thing.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah, there has to be a slope and so on, yeah.
The platform, the grade of way.
The drainage,
impacts,
yeah.
the whole bit. So they cover the
But it's all the part right by the road. And what I'm concerned about is
You're concerned about beyond that.
the way,
Doesn't
way
meet your
back.
driveway
29,
requirements.
Because
Has to.
30 feet.
Required to meet our driveway requirements
It'll-
by our
They'll
regulations.
be submitting it to the state. I just don't see why it wasn't included here.
I don't either, but I,
Sped up the whole operation.
yeah, because there is a problem getting onto this property because that's such a big drop-off there.
he addressed that in his comments.
He's gonna have
They were
to fill.
intended to fill that area.
I don't think we need anything more, because after the state proves or doesn't approve, it'll come to the chairman and the vice chairman, and if there's something they don't agree with, they'll bring it back to the whole board. I don't think you have to put it down in writing, they'll just say, hey, we can't sign this, and there you have 32 years.
Okay, his judgment is fine, I just want to make sure that
I think
he is able to do that legally.
some of the stuff here seems to be overkill, and I think
It's not necessarily an overkill. The issue that says that state approval is needed is not exempted. But
Is there?
we can work around that.
Okay.
That's one thing we don't see.
Okay, any other discussion of the motion? The motion is to approve it with 9 conditions. All those in favor of the motion? Any opposed, abstaining? None, all were in favor. Motion carries. That is approved. Thank you.
Build your house. Go build your house. Oh, yeah, I wrote it on there. This is the one I wrote on. That's,
I've got that one.
you got it, too. You got it.
Okay. So the next item on tonight's agenda is item number 9, which is a discussion or any possible action
Now, what about
regarding...
number 8, sir?
Number 8, you use an old,
Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, OmniPoint PCS Wireless Communication Tower. Approval of a tower removal bond. The amount posted for property located at 43 Babusick Lake Road, tax map parcel 5D 3001. Y'all may recall, about a month ago or so, we approved a communications tower on the American Legion property on Babusick Lake Road. One of the conditions of the approval, as with all of our tower approvals, is that they post a bond for the dismantling of the tower at such time that if they ever went out of business or whatever and left us with a liability, this bond is to cover that. This bond has been prepared and reviewed by Ed Chase for the Department of Public Works. And we have a bond estimate addressed to Walter Warren. And the bond estimate is in the amount of $22,417.36. And this is for the said OmniPoint PCS communication tower on Babusick Lake Road. A letter from Clough Harbor and Associates with the engineer's stamp. It's been an engineering estimate here with the stamped John Sobiech, professional engineer for Clough Harbor Associates LLP. They're the applicant. It's been reviewed, applicant's engineer. The applicant's engineer's work has been reviewed by Ed Chase, and his recommendation to us is to approve the bond in the amount of $22,417.36. What's the pleasure of the board? Are there any questions? Dr. Segedy?
Move to approve the amount.
Move to approve. Do we have a second? Second somewhere. Mr. Shepherd. Discussion. All those in, yes.
I'm sorry, I wasn't here when we approved that tower. We're approving a bond for an indefinite period of time?
Yeah.
To remove the tower, so 50 years from now, if we had to remove the tower, somebody thinks that's a sufficient amount of money to do so? Or does it get invested, or, I mean, we never acquired the money, right, or?
What's that, pardon?
We don't take possession of that money, right?
We don't
It's
take
just a
possession of the
bond.
money. It's a bond that's provided by a third party, an insurance company, basically.
Does it have any accelerator in it as to change
that's
its
a
value
good
over
question.
time, or do we know things like that?
Cost of inflation.
We never have done that.
No.
I don't,
Certainly
I
would be a
think,
good
wait a
idea to
minute, my recollection is that we have.
Okay, I don't remember one.
Yeah.
Where was that?
Let me see here, well, see, it says, based on the detailed construction cost, as of October 5th, 2006, the amount was $25,000. Now, there is accelerators on, there are, okay, it's 22,417. Baker. Let me get you an answer to that, Tom. I don't know the answer to that question about the accelerator. As I recall, we had accelerators in them in the, not accelerators.
Inflation rates.
Cost
or
of
cost of living rates.
Cost of living increases.
Inflation increases.
Inflation increases, thank you, that go with it. And I'm sorry, I don't have an answer unless you know how we handle that.
It was submitted to community development, Evelyn.
Yeah, I know we've done it before, and I know we had these escalators in them. There's no detail here on the form of the bond or anything. This is just the cost estimate by the engineers.
could we table that till the 28th?
So we can table it,
Till we get
yeah.
more information?
Yep, I'd be glad to do that. Dr. Segedy, rescinding your previous motion and,
Yes.
yes, okay. And would you like, and you agree with that?
Move to
Table.
table.
You have a second?
Time certain, which is
Second, Mr.
November the 28th.
Yes.
28th.
To the 28th, okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed, abstaining? None. Oh,
That was John and Matt.
yes, Matt Shepherd seconded it. I think, or maybe, no, Tom
I
Koenig.
think I seconded the
Tom Koenig
tabling
seconded-
motion.
Yeah, Tom Koenig seconded the second motion, yeah. Okay, tell Walter our problem there. For your information, although Steve didn't mention it, we are not going to have a meeting next week.
He has, he's
21st.
already sent the notice out, sir.
Oh, he did?
Came out
Okay.
in the email today.
Okay.
There's an email today saying it wasn't going to be on.
Oh, okay, I didn't see it. Okay. And next is number 9, discussion any possible action regarding other items of concern. Does the board have anything they want? I have nothing to bring to the board tonight, unless you do.
Just wondering if
Yeah, Mr. Shepherd.
staff has any information on the new signs that have popped up that say, "Why Kurt?"
What is that about?
That's my question. That's
Why Kurt?
exactly my question.
What was
I have
The
seen- I
the
saw
board
some-
has questioned the Merrimack single signs that have been up in the past, and these are probably something similar. I don't know.
They're in Nashua too.
I've seen it.
They're everywhere. They're everywhere.
Yeah, I've only seen one.
Oh, no, they're all over the place.
It didn't get approved by this board.
It's not in a political sign ordinance either.
It's not a-
Did they have to register those with the town?
Yeah, there's rules for temporary signs, and there's
Yes.
a little chapter on.
Chapter
them.
after the one I quoted for
Yeah.
temporary signs.
Yeah.
They're
4.08.
they're in the ordinance.
4.08.
Temporary signs, there's rules applying, and you have to apply, and they.
It's got to be a religious
supposed to be
festival. or
dated.
something.
There are some illegal signs out there.
Well, let's find out. what
Bad as
Why
that, but
Kurt
still.
is.
Yeah, find out what it means, that's all we really.
That was my question.
Okay, sorry, can't help.
You have handouts regarding conditional citizen correspondence regarding the conditional use permit, I-2.
Oh, you have some more?
I have,
Yeah.
Steve Buckley's comments regarding status of the circumferential highway.
Uh-huh, oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
They're all just they're all unrelated to each other, but the other handout has to do with, the no adverse impact statement. The waiver request for
Yeah.
that. So we do have legal opinion. I've got Steve Buckley's
yeah.
comments. And then the planning board recommendations on CIP.
Yeah.
That's what I got for handout.
Okay,
Hand them out.
let's go. Well, how about, yeah, okay, oh, you want to hand them out first, okay, no.